one of my favorite people, Commie Mark.
Огонь на подавление! Враг сзади по левому флангу! Огонь! Прочь! Они...
Come on. Come and say g'day. I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
And I am starting to just become a big, huge Commie Mark fan. So
Огонь на подавление! Враг сзади по левому флангу! Огонь! Прочь!
Greetings, comrades. What's up, bitches? Not that all women are bitches, some men are bitches as well. It's me, it's your man, Commie Mark. I'm here doing the show by myself. Well, not entirely by myself. We've got a special guest. I'm back because we got a special guest. But before we get onto bringing him on, let's just go over the big news or whatever of the week. You can see Krishna Kid, my comic book, what I'm making is only $37 away from £9,000, which is great. I think it's like about $11,000, like but we're real close to £9,000, and I'm trying to think of like a £10,000 stretch goal. Like so if anyone in the chat has any ideas, like let me know. Like we had some big progress like on the book this week. It's printed, like it's in transit at the moment. I have some things to show you. Look, even though, come up here, even though we're on like the third campaign now, like I still make mistakes on it because I'm dumb. So I ordered the 6 a.m. stickers for the Duryodhana Purana, and look how small they are. Like what an idiot. I ordered them at completely the wrong size. Like this is how big the Daredevil one is, like next to it. Look, this is a fucking joke. But I swear to God, like we got some bigger ones that are the right size now, which is cool. Like still doing dumb stuff now. I got like the 5 rupees that the first like backers of the Duryodhana Purana will get, like they're signed by me. That's part of the Commie Mark Wealth redistribution program or whatever. What else happened this week? Oh yeah, speaking of fuck ups or whatever, like I found this tweet from Forced Adversity today. You may remember he's the guy who like copyright struck my channel because he's a bitch or whatever. Here he made a joke, which I gave him some credit for. Like it's mildly funny, like and I got like 104 likes for that tweet against his 7, which was a diss on me. Whatever. We'll check in with the bots in the chat. We got Richie Dupe is here. He says, "Hail, Commie Mark, hail, Comics Gang, hail the chat, fuck Jabba the creator, poor cunt, and cow pies to all." Yeah, cow pies to everyone. Middle March says, "Why don't the videos start when they say they're starting?" It's communism, bro. That's like part of it. And the actual bots here, hopefully he'll drop some links in the chat and that to the campaigns and some other stuff. So I'll bring on the guest now. I guess here's like the political streamer who looks the most like Roy Keane. Like it's Counterpoints. Welcome to the show, comrade.
No, thanks for having me. It is it's already been quite the ride, so I'm appreciating it. That's cool that you're an artist and doing all that kind of stuff. And obviously, we've had relatively friendly DMs, so I've been looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting conversation because we come from like different sides of the internet or whatever, but you are a new guest on the show, and when we have guests on for the first time, we always ask them this question first.
Are you a member of the Communist Party, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I have not. As a matter of fact, you know, I would view myself as a anti-communist or anti-leftist, but we can get into that because I think I'm the friendliest anti-leftist or anti-communist that most leftists meet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have really good relations with lots of like right-wing people here in Comicsgate. You know, like I don't know how much you know about that, but there's a lot of like right-wing people here, and they certainly tolerate me here, like as the communist. Like I think it helps that I'm self-deprecating. Like I don't take myself too seriously. So that's good. So let me look. I got some. This is the first.
Can I ask you something? Do you have like a Pivo where it's like literally like a pivoting camera, or is this like an application that's inside the camera where it's kind of following your movements? Because I saw you getting amped up for the show, right? And like the camera's like following you around. I kind of like that it's more animated than the static shock or static shot.
So it's a plugin for OBS, like just a face tracking
Oh
plugin.
shit!
But
All right.
like I put it on because when I'm making videos, when I'm doing live streams, I mean, like I'm often not looking at the show, I'm looking at what we're talking about or something else. Then when I watch the show back later on, I find like I'm standing all the way over here, like and only half of my face is in the shot or whatever. But this way, like it tries to like.
No, I think it's more animated, so it's more helpful to like keep people. Everyone has attention deficit disorder these days, and people were saying, oh, you need to make your game screen like bigger for people who have attention deficit disorder, and I actually feel like the moving camera is probably a good way to keep them engaged as well, because they're always looking for something to pay attention to.
It really works well. When you're doing a stream and you're in like a 9 people grid or something, and everyone's static, and then your guys like moving around, like
yeah, it gives you more focus. No, that's perfect. Yeah, so no, that's cool. And then I'm Comicsgate. Is that like a consortium? Is it like a cooperative? What is it?
It's not quite a cooperative, like so it's just there's loads of like creators, right-wing creators who are like blacklisted by the industry or whatever. Like all industries now, it has like SJW infections or whatever. So instead of just crying about it like a lot of other anti-SJW groups might do, like they're actually just making like comic books and selling them, like being the solution or whatever, saying
nice.
They won't let them stop us. I say it's seizing the means of comic production, like we're taking it away from the bourgeois big two or whatever.
No, that's totally based. Like I understand unfortunately the all too common left-wing argument that the systems are so large, you can't change everything through individual effort and bootstrapping and all that kind of stuff. But I also feel like if you took half the energy spent complaining about shit and poured it into positive ventures like this, you might see the world change a little bit for the better. So that's cool that people actually did it.
Yeah, I agree. Like so one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that I've seen you before describe yourself as like formerly anti-SJW or described a anti-SJW phase or something, like so I'm curious like what that was like.
I'm still there. There's just a lot of people in that era that have evolved into things that are even worse than anti-SJW shit, So I would say, like, if you use liberalism with like a capital L, like starting governance and politics and organization from like an individualist framework, but then trying to work your way up there. I'm a statist. I do make apologia for like the, American military empire and all that kind of shit. And also law enforcement, I make apologia for. I've been a part of both institutions. So, all that kind of stuff. But then I also understand why people have issues with them too, because they're not only are they imperfect, they also have their nefarious elements, and those nefarious elements are destructive to some folks. So I understand why people beef with them, basically. But what I find is I stayed center. And when, folks like, Sargon of Akkad or Lauren Southern or Chris Reagan or whatever were complaining about progressives going too far, and then basically, saying like, oh, freedom of speech and Enlightenment values and the Constitution. These are all things worth protecting, and we care about that. What was dog whistles for some people, it was not dog whistles for me. So they moved on from the dog whistles and went more right wing, whereas I just stayed with the talking points that they were spouting in 2016. So that makes me pretty center for these days.
One of the things that I found really interesting over the last couple of years is around the whole free speech debate is how it's become like a right wing issue now. Like because I'm of the camp that say whatever you want, like as long as you're just saying it, like I don't care what you say with words, like you don't affect my reality. That makes me a bad guy. Like I'm a right wing person. Do you know how many times like people say, "Oh,
shut up, you fascist"?
It blows my mind. Like the one person on Twitter said to me, "Oh, the Soviet Union is one of the most conservative countries there is," like, which I kind of like my name is
socially,
like,
sure.
It blows my mind that people can ever think that I'm right wing. Oh yeah, so my question.
Well, they pushed out. Sorry, just to give you a little bit of feedback on that. The libertarian left wingers, which by the way, I'm not a fan of authoritarian leftism, but the libertarian leftists have basically now made it where being like an authoritarian statist or whatever it's just right wing. So even if you're like a Marxist Leninist, you're a vanguard communist, you're a Maoist, or you're a Stalinist or something like that, that's not even quote unquote left wing according to libertarian leftists, which I just find absolutely fucking wild. To try to push the horseshoe all the way over to the right. That's fucking crazy.
Like my favorite description is that someone described me as a vulgar Marxist, like which I like because it has the word vulgar in, like, and I swear a lot, like
which can fit. Like dirtbag. Well, and that's what I was thinking as soon as I saw you dancing to Get Ready and kind of the Soviet stuff. I was like, oh, he's probably a dirtbag leftist if he's not into the he's not into the SJW shit, and he's more about the, I don't want to say the theory, but more about the, I don't know. Like I guess for me, communism would be like a moneyless, stateless, classless society. And if you want free speech and you're not a progressive social justice warrior who's gonna clutch your pearls if other people start swearing or using slurs, that people have different priorities, I guess, is what I'm trying to cut at.
Mm-hmm. Like my main thing is like the main reason why I'm a communist, I think, is basically boils down to the fact that I believe that the ownership of land, like of plots of earth, like it feels immoral to me, like the idea of it, like in the same way that owning a person feels immoral, like and then everything's just based upon that. I refuse to believe that a society where everyone works together towards a common goal is going to be worse than one that encourages psychopathy, like in CEOs of major corporations that fuck everyone all around the world or whatever.
Well, and just getting into this, so for the uninitiated in chat or whatever, so I believe, I'm not like heavily familiar with Georgism, but I was assuming that Georgism is where like you basically mandate some level of property rights for all individuals, where they can all own, I guess, housing property is the way that I heard it, but I could be totally wrong. Is that just like too narrow for you, or is that just like not enough?
I don't know. That's the other thing. Like, I'm not afraid of saying I don't know the answer. Like, I don't even know all the questions on it. Like, it just feels wrong to me. Like the idea, like that, one of the things that people will say to me all the time is, "Why don't you just go and be a communist then?" Like,
go move into a commune and hang out with other people or whatever.
Well, people don't even. They say go and do it yourself. Like as a one-man communist, like that's an option. Like I'd say, we're doing socialism in one house, Like that's the most that I can do.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, so I guess the real thing for me is so I do get frustrated with communists because everything's like systemic, you know. Whereas I feel like if you were serious about, you know, like socialism, if you assume socialism is a step to communism, it's the decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production. You know, there's nothing really stopping people from getting into a group of, you know, 3 or 4 people, or I mean 30 or 40 people basically, sharing resources, and then where is it? 30 or 40 people sharing resources, and then also working in an economic cooperative that, you know, shares profit and risk and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing really stopping you. And so as a mixed economy capitalist, I do get frustrated that a lot of socialists will blow hard left, right, and fucking center about how we need to change the entire economy, but technically they could do it already.
Yeah, well, that's a sort of thing that you know, people in my situation, like, I'm doing this comic book thing, and it like spreading my propaganda, like I'm building my socialism in one house, like I'm actually paying. So the guy who's drawing my book, Krishna Kid, he's from India, like, and I'm paying him enough to like live, so he doesn't have to work. Like he was getting paid to paint toilet signs and things like that outside in the baking hot Indian sun or whatever.
Yeah, so this is very clearly a preferred method, and I guessing off of what you're saying, like you technically don't have to pay him that much. You're choosing to because it feels moral.
Yeah, and I've also got my wealth redistribution program, which like every book that I've done, like the person gets some token currency. Like we gave away North Korean ones, like with one of the books. I made this book about Kim Il Sung, you know, Kim Jong Un's grandfather, the founder of North Korea. We made a book about him. They got North Korean money, like people got Soviet coins and stuff. Like,
well, so I have I know we're supposed to be getting more into an interview for me or whatever, but I guess I'm hit with so much curiosity. So bum number one of my guys, he was asking, you know, like, oh, ask him about why he feels comfortable like with the flag or whatever, you know, basically the Soviet flag. And I guess my question with Kim Il Sung, are you taking the piss out of him, or are you lionizing him? Are you making him a hero, or is he a villain, or is he somewhere in between? What's kind of the angle?
So the Kim Il Sung book, like Kim Il Sung, so what I did was I took like loads of photographs of Kim Il Sung, like from around the period of the Korean War, and then like I rearranged them into a new version of the story where North Korea win the Korean War in it, yeah. And in the story, Kim Il Sung is the hero. Like he's the one who defeats like the American capitalist pig dogs or whatever. But the story is told like from an unreliable narrator who's like giving propaganda speeches like to the people, and sometimes like he'll be saying like some great thing that they did, and the picture doesn't match. Like it shows you like what really happened, like, and how they span like the events, like so he is the hero, but really that story is about like media manipulation, like propaganda and stuff, which is like a big theme in my work. But it's comedy. That's the most important thing. Brian Kriska in the chat says, still kicking myself for not getting the not chromium edition of Best Korea. So in comic books, there's a type of cover that you can get called chromium, like where the cover's made out of metal, like, and it's embossed and all this fancy stuff. And I just wrapped a book in tinfoil, you know, like you were booking in or whatever, and sold them for way more. Paulo Costa says DPRK is now a theocratic monarchy like ancient Egypt, but without the mummies and animal-headed gods. The actual beliefs, or the reported beliefs of the people of North Korea are crazy. Like, but we don't know how true those really are. Propaganda. Is that how I say it? Papa Uganda. Hello, everyone. Some people like filing in. It's a mockery of a sham, of a mockery. All right. So let's have a look. All right. So you're like quite big in the like political debate bros kind of a scene, like that we would derogatorily refer to as bread tube, like from over here on this side. Like my question, I guess, is do you like identify with that label, or do you have a different name for that group?
No, I'm good with it. Debate bros, I'm good with it. What I would say is I do like and value debate. I do like the people who I participate with, and basically, I'm not like big. Like I'm a 50 viewer live streamer, just like a whole bunch of other people. But I have rubbed elbows, and I think acquitted myself well with some of the bigger people, and then I rub elbows with some of the bigger people. So, we're growing, we're doing good. But also, the weird thing that's going on is while I feel relatively well adjusted to the debate bro scene, my most popular content is Warhammer 40,000 breakdowns. So I'm kind of selling out right now, where my primary channel is Warhammer 40K like lore breakdown videos, and then in the background I do political debate because I'm more passionate, or it feels more purposeful than my actually more successful content.
That makes sense. Yeah, this is your current channel, isn't it? Like
that's all of the political streams, including ours. I will download it and I will post it to a second channel called the Counterpoints Coliseum. That's a debate channel, and then I also am developing a third channel called Counterpoints, where I'll just be posting high quality video essays. But we're kind of in a flux period right now. But yeah, if you're into Warhammer 40,000, check out the main channel. You'll find something fun for sure.
So Warhammer isn't an area of my own expertise, but my understanding is like all areas of nerd culture, like it's suffered a bit with the old SJWs or whatever. Like, do you think that's fair to say, or is that right-wing propaganda?
It's right-wing propaganda. It's survived better than most, and the reason why it survived is because it's literally themed grim dark. It is a absurd rendition of reality in which everything is evil or bad, and as a result, like the main characters, the protagonists, the people that you root for the most, are a parody of fascism, and openly so. The problem is the universe has gone on for so long that now they've made sympathetic characters out of people who basically operate in a theocratic fascist regime, and then there's other factions, and all of them are good and evil in their own ways, and it's basically smashing together Lord of the Rings, every good science fiction fantasy that you've ever read, all into one big universe. It's fucking excellent.
Yeah, like when I was a child, like Warhammer was a bourgeois sport, shall we say? Like
it is. It still is. It's very expensive and very fun.
Yeah, it always looked to me like Dungeons and Dragons meets Sabutio, but I'm just realizing now when I say that you probably don't have Sabutio.
I was about to say I only understand half the reference.
So, Sabutio is like you get like, imagine you've got like a mat or a rug or something that you unroll, and it's like the green of a snooker table or something. And then on there it's got the lines like of a football pitch, and you have like these little figurines that are on like semicircular, like a half a ping pong ball or something, and there's a big football, like, and you flick them like towards the goal. Like it's a fun game.
This sounds my speed. And literally earlier today, my 5-year-old son asked me to play 40K, so we did a 1,000-point game. I helped him roll, I explained the game, all that kind of stuff. His attention he wasn't able to pay attention for the entire thing. But yeah, it is miniatures. It's on, it's got a rule set. It's like playing chess, but every piece can move in any direction, including vertical. And then also there's like every kind of weapon that you could possibly imagine under the sun, your chess pieces are capable of carrying. So it's very complex, but it's also incredible fun, and the lore is phenomenal.
This is Subutio. You see, like,
Nice.
that's what the little people look like, and you flick them like to score a goal. It's nothing like it really. It's just that you have little painted fellas or whatever. Here's your Twitter as well. Like, people should go and follow you on Twitter. You're doing good there too. Cisco B says, "Hell, comrades, hello." Brian Chriscat says, "Best way I can describe Warhammer 40k is that it's 2000 AD style dystopian sci-fi, very dark but fun." Yeah, that's like what you were saying. Judge Dredd, like the 2000 AD character, he's very like fascist, like, but kind of sympathetic sometimes. Like, but so they have to balance with him being a bastard. Like,
yep, and that's actually perfect because literally the 40k universe has it popped into my head, but I didn't say it. There's a Dread style law enforcement called the Adeptus Arbitus, and so they actually that is their law enforcement system, is the Dread style police officers. They don't enforce local laws; they only enforce the overarching imperial laws that have to do with like heresy, talking shit about the emperor, traitor, being like a heretic or a traitor, because in this world, like, demons and devils are real. So you can actually betray all of humanity in the name of dark gods. There's, elves and orcs and dark elves and basically Chinese communist fish people who have Gundam suits. So there's all sorts of factions that are vying for power. And whatever it loses in like fantasy, it gains in emotional reality. So because of the emotional reality of the series, and also it harkens back to every strong science fiction and fantasy setting, it kind of feels like taking all of your settings, boiling them into one big thing, taking the best elements of everything, and then getting all of the best elements in one spot. And so I think that's why it's had the longevity that it's had, and that's why I'm such a huge fan of it.
You pitch it really well. You make it sound like the Marvel Secret Wars or something, like where
it makes Marvel and Star Wars look like shit.
Oh, that's controversial to say. Richie Dupe says Dredd was always ever so slightly tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, like it's a real skill. Yeah, it's because they're both British, and like that's why. Like I think that British humor has like a real dark like undertone to it. It's all those years of colonizing or whatever. I don't know. Okay, so you've now like on the BreadTube Debate Bros like scene. You started off more like in the anti-SJW side, or more focused like on that, I guess. So what was like the first debate that you ever did like on YouTube? Did you do good, or was it
Mike from PA, and it was a fucking shit show. It's still on the Counterpoints Coliseum, and that dude is such a fucking douche nozzle. I would have a conversation with him again, but he's just so fucking smug and shitty about everything. And the conversation, bear in mind, this was like 2 years ago. The conversation was about whether or not Black Lives Matter and defund the police was like a productive thing to do. And basically, I invite people to go watch the conversation, because everything that he said backfired and everything I said came out to be true. Basically, what happened was defund the police was so poorly implemented that any attempts that even came close to passing barely passed. Cops like slammed on the brakes as far as what they were going to do. The economy crashed, this, that, the other. Crime spiked, and as a result, defund the police is now dead, and probably dead for at least another decade. Whereas what I was arguing for was more of like an incrementalist view, where it's like, hey, cops are police officers are jacks of all trades and masters of none. If you got buy-in from law enforcement, basically like saying like, hey, you don't want to do psych calls, and if you do psych calls, you want to be well trained. you don't want to do half of the shit that cops are doing. And realistically, you shouldn't have to. We should have different social services. So rather than just maxing out the police budget until kingdom come for the next, like, century, how about we leave the police budget the same, but out of future projected budgets, because obviously like city budgets grow as time goes on, you take out slices and you direct them into the social services that, field social workers or after school programs or fixing the street lights and all that kind of shit. How about you just take out those slices out of the police budget? Because truth is, human beings are really fucking bad at worrying about a future thing that they could have gotten. If they're still getting something good, they don't care. Whereas if you try to take something from somebody now, they're going to fight you tooth and nail. So I'm still like a law enforcement reformer in a lot of ways, but just not a fucking diehard ACAB person. So yeah, so I feel like I was right and he was wrong, and time proved that.
Yeah. On the whole police thing, like, you may be unsurprised to hear that, like, I believe that the state needs, like, a deterrent, like, and their government jobs, like the police, like, support the government employing people or whatever, like,
domestic security apparatus, whatever shape that takes. Yeah.
I know you said at the start, like, you're against authoritarian communism or authoritarian leftism. Like, I believe that there's like a paradox of kind that the only way that we can have like libertarian leftism is through like force of the strong state or whatever. Like, it's part of the process.
No, I agree with you. I'm just I'm a liberal, whereas you're a leftist. So I'm like a statist, and I'm like a Republican. I care about like setting up a Republican set of rules that most people can abide by, and then also holding the individual as relatively sacrosanct, and all those kinds of things. I'm also like a communitarian, meaning that I think there's a balance between the collective and the individual. But I hold the same thing to be true, that you have to have a state enforcement arm, or basically whatever you're fighting for is just hopes and dreams. If there's no enforcement, then it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, I think we agree on that. Alex VRB says, yeah, some would use stand-ins, D&D figures, or anything ditto with Magic the Gathering cards would use cheap land cards and handwrite stand-ins for expert. Okay. Yeah, I used to do that with
talking about 40K being a bourgeois fucking project. Yeah.
We used to do that with the game Risk.
Yes.
We used to play Risk all the time, and my friend had like a wooden mushroom. Do you know, just like it was just like an ornament, like a wooden mushroom, and we added it to when like the reinforcements count gets to like 60. It was like one more, the atomic bomb, like, because it was a mushroom and you could drop it on like any province and it would just kill everyone like in that province or whatever.
Nice.
It's fun things, ain't it? Brian Chriscat says, freaking AOC and the squad just sold out the railway workers over here. She sold out faster than the PS5. That's a good joke.
Yeah, is it how is it on the leftist side of things? Are you guys bitterly disappointed that your left-wing rock stars are selling out? Like Bernie Sanders is obviously older, so I don't know if he's got another run in him, and then AOC is not as aggressive as he is.
Well, for me as a European, I look at the American political system as a choice between two right-wing parties. Like, you have the choice to vote for Wall Street or for big oil. Like, those are your like, that's what you're choosing between, like, every 4 years. I don't like see anyone in the American left like as really left.
Who's a
like,
leftist? Yeah,
they could all fit into conservative parties, like in Europe, quite easily. Like, Bernie Sanders would be maybe a centrist here. Like, we already have like socialized medicine and, all so many security nets. Like it's really great. Like the things Bernie Sanders was offering would be the same as like a right-wing party saying, let's cut back the state, like over here, like because there's
let's cut it back to what Bernie Sanders is suggesting. The only pushback that I have for that, though, just because I know some liberals and progressives get frustrated with what you just said, is that the economically like in many ways, like Europe is more economically redistributive. I'll agree with that all day. But in the social areas, there's obviously a lot of like economically redistributive social conservatives in Europe. So America can be very socially progressive compared to Europe. Even European leftists will sometimes be social conservatives in America. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true to a point. Like most of the British people that are in trouble over turfism, like would consider themselves leftists or liberals, at least. You know, people like, well, obviously J.K. Rowling, but there's, you know, TV writers, like people like
J.K. Rowling's a fucking. You're saying so she would be considered left or consider herself left in the UK?
I think so. Like, you know, she.
In the United States, she's a fucking neo-Nazi for her social views.
But yeah, she wrote that book while on like social benefits and it, like, because she was an out of work single mother. Like, I can't imagine that she would now be a billionaire or whatever.
She'd be like, slash the social safety net. Who gives a shit about poors? Yeah, of course. And the only reason why I bring that up is just because I know that there are progressives in the United States who just get frustrated with being called right wing when they feel like the left wing in Europe can sometimes be like more anti-immigration, more anti-humanism, more anti, gay or trans or whatever than they are. So they get their panties in a twist over that.
Yeah, I can see that. Not me though. Like I'm like super pro immigration. Like my chat will disagree. Like, which is I have like a audience that believes the exact opposite of me. Like, which is great. I wanted to stay in the European Union. Like, I loved the idea of freedom of movement. Like, people would be like, oh no, like there's Romanians coming to the UK or whatever, and they're taking our jobs. And it's like, oh, but bro, you can go to Romania and the houses are a quarter of the price, like, and you'll have 4 times the income that you've got in it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but then you got to like learn a language and shit. You got to adopt another, place's culture and customs.
Never met a Romanian who can't speak English. Like, but to be fair, all in English.
So somebody. I've only had 2 dodos so far tonight, and they were both basically being aggressive towards your politics. I think they're offended by the hammer and sickle on the top right. They wanted to know your personal opinion on Soviet logistics during the Ukrainian famines of the 40s and 50s and shit. So they wanted to know whether or not you thought they were intentional.
I don't know enough is the answer. Like like obviously that's not good what happened. Like I don't deny that happened. Like all the evidence that I've looked at points to that. There's lots of terrible things that the Soviet Union did. Like, that's undeniable. Like
well, and can I just because I don't care. That's more just honoring the chatter because he gave me money or whatever. My we live in a capitalist system, right? So but my thing with that is, or not my thing with that, but just admitting something without even needing you to ask. Like, everybody's done horrible shit. As an example, you're making a fucking shitpost cartoon about what is it, like the Korean War. Well, during the Korean War, America still had strategic bombing, like as a policy, and we just, at that point, the moral system was you bomb everything because the civilians are a part of the infrastructure that perpetuates the enemy government that you're going up against. So as a result, we just carpet bombed North Korean cities, and I think we killed like 3 million people in a period of a few years. So I'm not saying like, you know, I still believe in American mixed economy capitalism over leftism, but you know, the world is a fucking horror show. So
Yeah.
and you have to admit that it's you have to admit to the horrors that everybody's perpetuated, or else you're a fucking self-deluding pussy.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Like, you know, America has its own manifest destiny issues and stuff. Like,
Yeah, what's a little genocide between friends, you know?
I really, whenever this sort of a thing comes up, I never want to like throw like a yeah, but you did this thing back at them. Like, I
Yeah.
always feel like saying about what about Christianity? Like people protest for the right to like wear their crosses to work and stuff. And you know, think how many think of the blood on the hands of the papal system and stuff, like whatever. It's not the same. Like it doesn't matter. So it does matter, you know what I mean? So I'm interested like in understanding like the infrastructure of BreadTube a little more. What I'm really looking for is like bad takes on comic books, like people who are interested like in nerd culture, you know, who are a little out of their depth, like coming over here to try and say stuff like you know, so they're unprepared, like, and I can ninja them because you know it's my area of expertise or whatever. So do you have any suggestions for people like to maybe look at that might?
Yeah, so I want to divide it up, because the truth is that there's a couple of people who how do I phrase this? So the debate bros and BreadTube hate each other. Like to the exterior, it might seem like they're traveling in similar circles because they're constantly talking shit about each other. But the BreadTube would technically be video essayists. They would be people who stick amongst themselves, largely just, you know, write masturbatory fucking 2-hour-long fucking essays about, you know, leftism and socialism and communism and the failures of the American government and culture and blah blah blah. So that would be BreadTube specifically. When it comes to the debate bros, yeah, there's like a shitload of fucking talent over here. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit long in the tooth, and a lot of the people that I love have kind of burnt out. But one, I could send you a list, and then two, there's just obvious people to call out. You know, Vosh is obviously the king of left-wing debate bros. He's kind of backed off of the debate content, but he's still relatively accessible in DMs. Xander Hall is more accessible. Destiny is always accessible. And then as far as like the debate bro scene, I'm about to go on a panel when we leave here with Tiberius and Prime Kai, and both of them are panel hosts who have small debate communities of nerds who love fighting about everything. So yeah, there's absolutely people to find to fight and interview for content.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do. Get some find some crossover. Like I'm hoping, you know, because there are people who watch, say, let's take Xander Hall as an example, because that's a pertinent one. I know that there are people who hate watch his content and it. Like, so my thing was, let's see if I can go and attract some of those viewers. Like, people who hate him should like what I'm doing. Like, like it. And I made like 2 videos about Xander Hall already, but he blocked me like a coward.
Yeah, and that's a frustrating thing too, is some of these people have like, I'm always going to recommend Destiny, because basically if you watch a few of his streams, you find something that you guys disagree on, you say, hey bud, I disagree with you on this, I want to fight about it, you know, this is my political perspective, etc., etc. There's like an 80% chance that if the conversation is even remotely interesting, he'll be down for it, which is like a huge public service to smaller streamers to be willing to debate. And then from there, you just kind of grow and grow and grow just by, you know, building those relationships. But the panel scene too, basically is where, you know, half a dozen small and medium streamers get together and yell about the current events of the week. I'm actually going to be doing that starting in January. There was a very large show called the Hippy Dippy, which unfortunately went off the air recently. I'm going to be trying to do the spiritual successor of it. So, 6 to 8 people, yelling about the content du jour, and then also being able to shout themselves out and, have fun and meet new people and network and all that kind of shit. So
I've watched the Hippy Dippy Roundtable thing before. It has a very colorful cast of characters. There's a comic book that you may not have seen that is super. You might be the only person that I've spoken to that will get this. Let me find a nice picture. So that guy who used to host that show,
Dylan Burns.
Yeah, don't you think that he looks like this Asian Batman from Gotham High? When I saw this, that was all that I could think of.
Yeah, literally. Clip that
little...
shit and fucking send it to me. I think he'd be flattered. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I do. I agree.
But that guy went to Ukraine, right? I'm sure I've seen some footage.
Yeah, he's been doing war reporting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. One of the first times we interacted was around the invasion of Ukraine. I made a video about that, and I was surprised, shall we say, at the time to see some of them, what I would consider the big three communists on that debate side of YouTube, all come out on the pro-Russia side. I arranged a debate with a guy from Caleb Maupin's Institute or whatever.
What a classic!
I made the greatest thumbnail that I've ever made. And then the guy didn't show up on the day on it, which was disappointing. But yeah, all three of them, correct me if I'm wrong, this is my take from my shallow research. There's Haas from Infrared, I've seen him.
I'm so happy that fucking MAGA communism shit is on the way out. I was not a fan.
So I checked out who he was before the invasion, which is coming up on a year ago now. So it was probably 16 months ago or whatever that I started really looking into this side of the internet. And I found him and I watched some, and he was entertaining, he's got an energy or whatever. But after 2 weeks, I was I do not need this energy in my life. And it it's
very manic. It's very very schizophrenic, very high energy. And I understand that's entertaining for some people, and people enjoy that kind of energy. But for me, it's if you can't have a conversation about the real ideas or whatever, then it's kind of that you can only deal with that schizo posting for so long.
And it's quite intimidating to me, how these people seem, at least, to know so much of the texts instantly by command, without going to check it, and in the moment, Haas could tell me, well, Hegel said this, and I would just have to believe him, you know what I mean? Because you clearly know more about it than I do. So
let me ask you this. So you said your moral reasoning for why you believe that you were a communist is because you just thought that people shouldn't own property, people should be cooperative, all that kind of shit. But when people look at this or talk about communism, what they're hoping for is a moneyless, stateless, classless society. And then for the stepping stones, at least as far as the definitions that I've been shoved down my throat for the past fucking 2 years of doing debate, is basically socialism is the decommodification of basic human need and workers owning the means of production, meaning that basic human need is widely accessible, cheaper, free to everybody. regardless of circumstance, regardless of productivity, regardless of ability. And then what was it? Workers owning the means of production. There would be no like single boss or board owner owned, private corporation. All businesses would be owned by the workers. So it'd kind of be like a stock system or a board system or a democratic system. So I guess my question is, with those two kind of like, at least that's their definitions. Do you have any progressive ideas from that, or do you just kind of have like, this is the end point that I think humanity is capable of reaching of, and I just want to push in that general direction?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Outside of this, like, this is a wider like thing. In the one of the mental processes that I use when I'm trying to work out how to get to a certain goal is like, I start there and work backwards to where I am. Like, that seems to be a good way to do it. I would support like a workers owned like workplace or whatever. I like the idea of like, there's there's two ways in it. Like, there's the utopian way, like the final goal, and then the what sort of in between kind of a thing in it. Like, what can I picture like to get you halfway to meeting me or whatever. I would ideally like a cashless, moneyless society with no class like differences. That's my main thing. Like, and I also believe that all workers should be paid the same regardless of job. Like, which is really contentious even amongst.
I was about to say not everybody's going to be a fan of that for sure.
I have never in my life met anyone who agrees with me like on that specific issue on it. Like, because I believe, yeah, and this may not be true, but I think that if everybody was able to train for free in whatever job they wanted, people would choose the jobs that they would be passionate about doing and do those. Like, one of the tests that I always ask people is, at your real life job, if you don't have a real life job now, just think of your last real life job or whatever. So you're there, yeah, and the big boss comes down the stairs and he says to you, right, I'll give you a promotion, but you earn the same money that you're on now. Or I can give you a demotion and you earn the same money that you're on now. Or you can stay where you are, where you're comfortable, and just stay on the same amount of money. So if you was offered that choice, like, which one would you choose?
Oh, for me, I'd probably pick a fucking demotion. I'd go do the easy shit, like, because I actually do have a pretty high stress, high input, high reward job. But it's also doing the same thing over and over and over fucking again. Whereas if I wanted to do the same thing over and over again, I would like to see a little bit more productivity from what I do. But the truth is the money's not there.
Get the instant gratification of like, did a good job, like on that one. Well, yeah,
or even just knowing that you're serving like a bigger purpose than just spinning the wheels. Actually, if there's anything like, I don't agree with your assessment at all, but if there was anything that made me like left-leaning sympathizing, it's the fact that I feel like I'm doing the dumbest fucking job I've done in my entire life, and I'm making the most amount of money I've done in my entire life. Like, every other job that I've done was way more challenging and stressful and aggravating and, taking years off of my life. And I'm, and now in the stupid fucking job I have now, I get paid more. It's nonsensical to me.
All right, that's good. I also maybe it's just white privilege, but I've continued in my life to just fall up. Do you know what I mean? Like, every year has been progressively better than the year before. Like, every year that I've been promoted, my job has gotten easier, like with more money attached to it. Like, that's been my experience of how capitalism works. One of the things that people always say to me about communism is they say like, oh, why should I get paid the same amount as this person next to me who's doing less work than me, who's less productive than me? And it's like, every job that I've ever had, the person next to me works less hard than me and is less productive than me and gets paid the same amount in it. Like that happens in capitalism as well.
Oh, for sure. I just think that there's a correlation, not a causation. Like we all know nepotism. Like I work in corporate America. I was literally thinking of this cunt today. It's this guy who basically his like uncle works for the main corporate headquarters, and you know, he had really good metrics in my unit, but that's because he was cheating the system, and anybody else would have been fired. But what they did instead is they allowed him to have his pretty metrics. They gave him a reward for doing his job terribly, and then they promoted him out of the unit. And I guarantee you that dude's going to be leading the company in a few years, where he'll be like, I used to do your job. I used to do this, that, the other. And I was one of the best people here and blah, blah, blah. And I just got to realize, like, not everybody is this level of full of shit, but I'm pretty sure like some of those other corporate bigwigs who, you know, pretend that they were like mopping the floors with the fucking janitors and shit. They were there for fucking 6 months jerking themselves off. They didn't actually, you know, do the job the way it was supposed to be done.
There's a theory. I forget the name of it now. That's annoying. About how people get promoted and promoted and promoted until they reach a point where they're
The level of their
inefficient.
incompetence.
Yeah, like they reach a glass ceiling on incompetence. And those people are really hard to get rid of. Like, and they block up companies. Every company that I've worked at, there's been someone there, and you say, "Oh, look, if you follow like any problem at this company like long enough, like it leads to this." like,
well, all right. So I guess my thing with what you've said so far, it's like, okay, so I understand the moral intuitions for saying like, don't we work in an unjust system? Couldn't you build a more just system? Like I understand that, but the for me, function and material well-being and, you know, all that kind of shit, all of that is more important than justice. Like justice is important, but I would rather be, you know, comfortable, happy, able to live a good life, able to give my kids a good life, and most people being able to do that in a relatively unjust system than be in a, you know, perfectly just system, but everything sucks. And I think if you look at the history of the Soviet Union or Maoist China or anything like that, there was plenty of shit that was unjust. You don't just like switch systems and then everybody's like, oh yeah, we're going to work for the cooperative good now. Everything's great. Like that's not how any of this shit has worked.
Yeah, that's true. That's why stock in guillotines always goes up as a revolution. I said on a show once, I said, and oil is the blood of capitalism. And then someone else said, and blood is the blood of communism.
You're like, oh, that's good. Yeah. Doesn't it suck when you feel like you have a fucking zinger and then people fuck up your zinger? Like, yeah, that's up there.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let me check if I have a final question for you. Oh, I didn't go through my big three thing fully. So you got Haas, you got Jackson Hinkle, and Caleb Mappin or whatever. Is there would you like agree with that is the big three, or is there someone
for authoritarian communists? Yeah, absolutely. For libertarian communists or socialists, it's going to be locate ventilation access. It's going to be Xander Hall, Demon Mama, and Vosh for like libertarian leftists. Then when it comes to like liberal progressives or whatever, it's going to be Destiny. and then Econo Boy. But these are all going to be like relatively dry debates. These aren't going to be like, you know, comic book shit. This is going to be like, this is my economic theory. This is what I believe, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's all going to be that shit. Like I listen to your podcast. I have a contention with your belief. This is what I believe. And, you know, that's what I was going to advise going into the panel scene or the debate scene or talking to any of these people. If you kind of come at them with a very like passive, like I'm a pretty like passive, you know, dude bro kind of guy. I was a stoner in high school. I fucking enjoy good conversations, casual conversations, and heated conversations. But if you come at them where they're going to ask you, like especially because the format is going to be like, I disagree with you for this reason. If you just go just off of vibes, you know, that's not going to fly. Like these people are going to expect more out of that. And so that would be my, you know, kind of perspective is just come prepared. You don't have to be researched, but you have to have like a logically coherent worldview and also some level of incrementalism and pragmatism. Because basically, if you're like, hey, this is the end state and I'm just going to generally push in that direction, that's not going to be sufficient for these conversations. They're going to ask you very specifically, what do you want next? What do you want to do next? What would you do in American electoral politics? What would you do in, you know, European electoral politics? What would you do in order to, you know, basically make sure that institutions function properly where they don't collapse in on themselves? One of the questions that I always asked when I dealt with people who were like, hey, you know, we should have like a Raleigh egalitarian employment system. I was like, well, what would stop everybody from just like, you know, if we guaranteed internet, food, and housing, why wouldn't everybody just go be a fucking YouTuber? Because that's what I would do literally the next fucking day. If I had guaranteed food and housing, I would just do this 100% of the time. I would just talk shit, play video games, try to get some donos from chat, and you know, basically try to make a name for myself here, because this is more fun work than my current job, but my job is relatively speaking necessary. So why would people risk their lives? Why would people be linemen or you know, garbage disposal men? Why would they do all the hard shit? I just don't think there's enough people who, when given the option between masturbating all day and being a YouTuber versus being a heart surgeon, I just don't think there's going to be that many people who want to be heart surgeons based off of vibes. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen.
Like, I think that I'd have a go at heart surgery if the training was free. Like, but I recognize that not everybody is me. And, you know, even when I'm imagining my communist utopia, I'm in charge of it or whatever. And you are totally right that if I entered that sort of a scene, I would be made to look a fool very easily, like which, you know, I can only ride for so long. What I've been doing at the moment is sticking more to the essay side, you know, because I can write my points like real specifically, and if I don't know, I can just cut that part out. Like you know what I mean? Like I can structure like my own narratives and stuff, which, you know, as a propaganda artist, that's what I do. Like, those videos are pretty funny. Like I highly recommend those.
That's the funny thing. So but that's the funny thing in the debate bro scene, you know, that is viewed as a kind of weakness. So for instance, like Hassan Piker had a lot of debates with you know, Destiny back before either one of them were as big as they are. And then now that Destiny has, you know, showed him up in several debates, you know, it's noted, at least by the Twitch, YouTube political community, that it seems very convenient that Hassan now has nothing to say to Destiny or to Bosch or to Xander Hall. And it is, you know, partially a clout thing where, you know, oh, they're just too small. I have nothing to gain. Therefore, I'm not going to interact with them. But the other part of it is they don't want to get blown the fuck out by somebody who's smaller than them. It just doesn't look right.
That's the real thing, I think, that second one. Because there is like this unspoken rule, you know, that you're not supposed to punch down on people who have less subscribers than you. Like, but I make some videos specifically because that's the reaction that I'm trying to invoke, can it? like I want that person to like come and try and take apart my video or whatever. And then they won't do it. Like they'll hide behind this, oh no, you're too small for me to bother or whatever. When that person does is just steal other people's content and watch it and pause it and say a thing. Like and you know, I've made like
called
some
out.
and
Yeah.
out of what they out of their
Oh, could I
track.
just say you just called out somebody very specific in my mind. I won't say their name, but like what was so interesting about being in the YouTube political debate scene or whatever was basically there's some people who have moved on to have like significant followings where they have almost like 1,000 viewers daily. They're getting paid, they're rubbing elbows with bigger people, blah blah blah. But what's so funny about that is their content has almost gotten worse since they first started. Because at least when they were like smaller, they were trying and they were talking, and now they just fucking sit there and they go, and then like that's all they do is they watch other people's content and go, and that's it. It's fucking embarrassing, but apparently that's the way to succeed is just be a fucking tard. So whatever.
It does seem to be working for some people.
Hey, God bless them. I wish them all the best in their being retarded for money scheme. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Those people, like, I'm really happy to like do that to their content, like, because I feel like I'm getting some kind of justice for the original creator or whatever. Like,
yeah. Well, it's also like shit's weak. Like that's the other thing. Like, what I kind of love about this space, like I'm about to roll into a panel or whatever, is like if people can fucking smell weakness on you. So if your argument is weak or if you're sensitive about a subject or anything, like they'll let you know pretty fucking quick. So it keeps everybody sharp. That's what I like about it.
It's good training or whatever. Critical blast says failing upwards. Yeah. All right. I don't think I have anything else to say. Stancelites says Mark could hold his side but needs to come on dry. I'm not quite sure what that means. I'll ask him after the show. All right. So you have any closing question or statement or anything? Like I'm pretty much done.
No, just if you wanna get into the scene, if you want to get into the panel debate scene, if you want to debate certain people or whatever, I can't promise anything. Shit, half the time these people respond or don't respond to me very haphazardly. But if you're like, hey, I was interested in this, let's, can I make it happen? It's very specific. How do I do this? Who do I talk to? Et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to help out. Anybody I can get into the scene to make it more varied and rich. I'm very happy to do so. So if you want to use me as that kind of resource in the future, don't hesitate to reach out.
All right. I will do. I'll definitely do. I've got to do something next year. Like, we'll work something out. I'll make a plan.
Yeah.
I'll find someone even stupider than me.
Yeah, then make them look dumb for clout. It's the circle of life. It's the jungle.
All right, that's perfect then. That's the perfect thing to end on. All right, thank you everyone for watching. Go and subscribe to Counterpoints channel as well. Like, and
Oh yeah, it's 90% Warhammer 40K. So even if you're a filthy fucking leftist, don't worry about it. We'll give you some entertainment.
Oh, there are no leftists like who watch my show. Show a comic, Mark. That's a good point. Let me remind you. So the Duradana Piranha is like done. It was supposed to be delivered today. Like it's Sunday in the morning, so I'm sure it'll be Monday now. Like this book's like based on Hindu culture. This one isn't a joke. Like this is my serious tragedy. Like it's Dickensian. It's Dostoevsky-esque. Like it's real dark. Real great. Like that's done. You can still buy it on the campaign. Like I'll be shipping them out probably this week, not this week, next week on Monday. There it is, just £10. You can go and get that now, like, and you'll have it real soon. You can put some of the old books on, not Daredevil versus the KKK, Kim Il-sung and Best Career War, Not Daredevil Origins, like all of those, you can get with the Duryodhana Purana. So they'll all arrive real soon, like next week if you're in the UK. If you're further away, hopefully before Christmas. All right, that is the end. Thank you, Connor. Thank you to the bots in the chat. Duryodhana Purana, yeah, that's how you say it. All right, that's the end.